All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. I want you to picture this. You're a high school student, you're on a totally ordinary field trip to some caves, and suddenly a weird rock formation just grabs your classmate, tosses him like a rag doll, and completely shatters. And out steps this towering, muscle-bound giant. This isn't some museum exhibit coming to life, okay? This is Wolfgang, literally the last barbarian on Earth. He's just violently woken up in the 21st century after being trapped in an absolute petrification curse for 1,000 years. And let me tell you, this guy isn't just strong. He is a walking, breathing, natural disaster straight out of an era where humans literally fought side by side with angels to fend off demonic hordes.
So, you really gotta wonder, what actually happens when a guy who's used to slaughtering demons with his bare hands wakes up in a world full of smartphones and traffic lights? Well, it's pure, unadulterated comedy, that's what. When we first see Wolfgang trying to adjust to our era, he is just hilariously out of his element. I mean, he's trying to squeeze his massive, towering frame into this tiny modern car, and he's completely baffled by the entire concept of AD. But he does quickly discover the absolute magic of pizza and Coca-Cola, literally downing an entire bottle in one gulp. He's being guided by Kang Yaren. She's an archaeologist hunter who basically bribed him with this junk food, and the contrast between his epic, blood-soaked past and his new, totally mundane reality is just brilliant to watch.
And honestly, it perfectly illustrates the core dynamic of the whole story. Back in the past, Wolfgang was an immortal warrior. We're talking taking on 10,000 demons entirely solo. He was basically your classic Goku-like, overpowered protagonist who's constantly breaking his limits. But in the present, he accidentally chokes out a modern hunter just for trying to show him an ID card, and he's constantly destroying modern infrastructure. He's literally a bull in a china shop, an ancient force of nature trapped in a very, very fragile modern world.
Okay, to really put this into perspective, we need to talk about the power scaling of this new world. So in the modern era, humans fight monsters as hunters, and they're ranked from S down to F. They borrow their strength from what they call constellations, basically guardian deities of the stars. But Wolfgang, yeah, he operates on a completely different ancient tier. His power was directly blessed by angels to fight world-ending demons, so to him, these constellations are just, well, weak beings. When this ancient tank steps into a modern arena, the power system literally does not know how to handle him.
Which brings us to Section 1, Clash at the Hunter Academy. See, to track down the demon who cursed him, a guy named Devil House, Wolfgang needs resources, and that means securing a modern hunter license. But when he goes to take the promotion exam, we see just how spectacularly he fails at blending in. The test involves hitting this indestructible wall of trial, which is powered by the constellation Leonids. Now, a top student hits it and scores about 2,000 points. Wolfgang steps up, doesn't even throw a punch, and just flexes his aura. The sheer pressure of his ancient presence completely shatters this sacred relic into dust, and as reward for this epic display of absolute dominance, an instant debt of 90 million won for property damage. Welcome to modern capitalism, Wolfgang.
Now, despite owing a literal fortune and standing out like a sore thumb, he absolutely refuses to adapt. When people tell him to shave and wear modern clothes so he doesn't look quite so intimidating, he stubbornly claps back with "a beard is a barbarian's pride." He insists on walking around a modern city wearing his giant Fenrir wolf pelt. He just absolutely refuses to compromise who he is, keeping his warrior honor completely intact.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Slime King Dungeon.
So, desperate to pay off that massive 90 million won debt, Wolfgang takes this totally predatory F-rank contract and heads into a B-rank slime cave. And it is hilarious because while the modern hunters are fully decked out in hazmat suits, Wolfgang is just strolling through barehanded, completely ignoring the lethal toxicity of the slimes. Deep in the dungeon, things get serious. He discovers this massive slime king trapped inside a barrier, basically being force-fed trash by a corrupt guild so they can mass-produce slime cores for profit. Wolfgang's Barbarian code? Yeah, it won't stand for that kind of dishonor. He literally shatters the guild's energy barrier and frees the slime king just so it can see the sun for the first time. And later, when that corrupt Seong guild sends D-rank assassins to silence him, he crushes them without even breaking a sweat. It's this perfect blend of sheer, ridiculous power and a really surprising sense of justice.
All right, let's get into Section 3, the Dark History Revealed. Because, underneath all the comedy and the overpowered monster hunting, there's actually a really profound tragedy driving our hero.
Wolfgang ends up meeting with Dr. Choi and a top archaeologist named Kang Jiho, who have this mysterious, unmeasurable relic. The second Wolfgang sees it, all the memories just flood back. It's the weapon of Jonas, his absolute dearest friend and fellow warrior from 1,000 years ago. Jonas fell in the Holy Demonic War, and Wolfgang actually carried his weapon into battle, slaughtering tens of thousands of demons with it. But when he realizes the weapon is tainted with the magical energy of Devil House, the exact same demon who slaughtered his tribe and cursed him, Wolfgang goes totally berserk. He actually shatters the museum's anti-theft barrier with his bare hands just to reclaim it. This deep, centuries-old trauma is what really fuels his new goal, officially enrolling in the Hunter Academy to become a specialized demon hunter.
But as we quickly learn, the Academy is definitely not a safe haven. The stakes in this world are terrifying. See, earlier on, Wolfgang embarrassed this arrogant rich kid named Kim Jin-woo during the exams, which actually caused Jin-woo's constellation to abandon him. Desperate to get his power back and honestly terrified of his abusive, power-hungry father, Jin-woo does the unthinkable. He makes a demonic contract. This is a horrific pact where a human literally sacrifices half of their remaining lifespan to a demon in exchange for overwhelming, corrupting power. So, Jin-woo binds himself to this terrifying three-headed demon, Cerberus.
When Jin-woo attacks Wolfgang at the Academy, the demonic energy takes over completely, but Wolfgang doesn't even blink. He uses his ancient pelt to summon the colossal spirit wolf Fenrir, and Fenrir's sheer presence absolutely terrifies Cerberus. Wolfgang easily crushes the demon and breaks the contract. But here's what's truly amazing about Wolfgang's character here. He doesn't kill the bully. Actually, he spares Jin-woo, claims him as his #1 subordinate, and decides to teach him how to become an ultimate shield warrior. He shows him that true strength comes from protecting others, not from relying on cheap, life-draining demonic tricks.
Which brings us to the escalation in Section 4. The demonic descent begins.
Now, Jin-woo's father, Chairman Kim, he has let his obsession with power strip away his humanity entirely. Down in the basement of his mansion, he enacts this horrifying chronological ritual. First, he literally spills his own blood and the blood of his loyal servants into a chalice. Second, he offers their flesh to the Dark Lord. Third, he chants to open the sealed gate of the abyss. And finally, the fourth step, he allows himself to become a physical vessel for the high-ranking demon, Umbra. The chairman's body morphs into this gigantic, chained demonic creature, and all hell literally breaks loose on the city.
Section 5. Battle against the Dark Lord.
The sky turns this blood-curdling red, a colossal energy sword plummets from the heavens, and just endless hordes of grotesque demons pour out onto the streets. It is pure chaos. But amidst this apocalyptic nightmare, we get a really beautiful moment of character development. Jin-woo's older brother, Jin-song, who, keep in mind, had brutally beaten Jin-woo earlier, is cornered by the demon that used to be their father. Just as the demon is about to execute Jin-song, Jin-woo leaps in. Using the heavy shield Wolfgang made him buy and relying on the exact defensive stances his new master taught him, Jin-woo holds the line. He takes hit after hit, his shield literally shattering, but he refuses to let his brother die.
And then, just as Jin-woo is about to be completely overwhelmed by the horde, this epic voice rings out across the battlefield. The last barbarian is coming for you. Wolfgang makes an earth-shattering entrance. With a single devastating swing of his sword, he unleashes a wave of energy wolves that instantly vaporizes the surrounding demon horde. He steps up to the giant demon Umbra, absolutely radiating ancient fury. It is so incredibly badass.
Umbra tries to use these cheap shadow tricks and even evolves into this terrifying shadow form, mocking humanity. But Wolfgang, remembering his fallen friend Jonas, summons Jonas's angel-blessed warhammer. The holy lightning on this hammer completely bypasses the demon's defenses, crushing Umbra with a single massive explosion. Umbra barely manages to detach his shadow and flee back to the underworld, known as Underhell. But in a brutal twist of fate, when Umbra begs his old friend Devil House for help, Devil House just laughs, turns him to stone, and literally feeds him to monsters. No honor among demons, right?
And that kicks off our final part, Section 6, a global demonic invasion.
So the battle in the city is won, but guys, this is far from over. Wolfgang marches right into the Hunter Association, easily overpowering the arrogant president's constellation with just a glare, and he demands the location of Underhell so he can finally hunt Devil House. But as he speaks, a rift opens right in the room. The demon vocalist steps out into Seoul. At the exact same time, reports start flooding in. The demon Batwing has attacked Daejeon, and Astaroth has descended on Poo. We even see Go Yuna, a young hunter who lost her contract earlier in the story, making a desperate, heroic stand against Astaroth, which actually earns her a new contract with the Blue Rose Lancer to fight back. This wasn't an isolated incident at all. Devil House has sent his generals to hunt down the Barbarian.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. The gates of Underhell are opening. High-ranking demons are breaching cities across the globe, all at the exact same time. Humanity's modern hunters are being pushed to their absolute limits. Can one overpowered, pizza-loving barbarian from 1,000 years ago really save a modern world that completely forgot him? The stakes have literally never been higher, and the true war has only just begun. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you on the next one.